Hello, everyone. Welcome to this partnering tutorial for Digital RESI November. My name is Greg Mannix. I'm Chief Conference Officer at Life Science Nation, and I'm also Vice President of International Business Development. And today we're going to have a look at the partnering platform for Digital RESI. And I would just like to start by saying that the partnering platform for the RESI conferences is truly a unique tool. It allows you to really identify the investors who are the best fit for you. And the reason for that is that the information about these investors and what their area of interest is, and by that I mean what type of technology they're looking for and in what stage of development, is all uploaded from the LSN investor database, which is something that we've been curating for over 8 years now, and is a really valuable tool. So this information is uploaded to the profiles of the investors on our platform, and we'll see that in a minute. And it's really an excellent opportunity for you to be able to identify those investors and then request meetings. So feel free to send any questions over the chat. You can also unmute yourself and ask a question. We're a small group. There will be time for questions at the end. Okay, so just to get started, when you log into the partnering platform, and hopefully you all received your login credentials day before yesterday on how to get in. The first screen you get is this home screen, and it's really a dashboard. So this is really useful to see what your partnering situation is. If you have any messages that are awaiting response, you can see how many meetings you've sent out, how many meetings have been confirmed, etc. So it's good to go back, and I really encourage you to log on to the partnering platform every day for the next 3 weeks leading up to the conference. And the reason is you will have activity, you'll have messages, you'll have meeting requests, you'll have meeting confirmations or meeting declines, and it's good to keep up with all that. And another important thing to keep in mind is that there are new investors registering every single day for the conference. So even though you might reach out to all of the investors that you think are a fit and want to meet with, there will be new investors registered tomorrow and next week who you definitely want to have a look at. So the first thing you'll want to do when you log on to the partnering platform, if you haven't already done so, you want to create a partnering profile for your company and for yourself. Which is what all of the conference attendees, including investors and strategic partners, will be able to see. So for that, on the upper right-hand side on the black menu bar, click on Account. And if you scroll down, it will say Edit and the name of your company. When you click there, it's pretty self-explanatory about how to fill it in. Be sure to check off the filter values here if you're a therapeutics company or a diagnostics company or whatever, because by checking these off, you will be making yourself visible to investors who might be looking for companies developing certain types of technologies. So click all of those filter values and put in, as good information as you can in all of the different sections of your profile, your website, the country where you're located. This will all help make your profile more visible. And here you have the option to add your logo, which is also recommendable. And in your profile, you're able to upload 2 documents. Typically, it will be a pitch deck and an executive summary. I think it's a good idea to upload like a 1-page data sheet about your company that just has the most important key points in a very easy to navigate format. But that's up to you. You can upload up to 2 documents, okay? And then it will also say edit in your name. And when you click there, you have the option to upload a photo of yourself, which I think is a nice touch to help break the ice a little bit before a meeting with someone for the first time. They can see who they're speaking to. And you're also able to put your bio in here and any other contact information you'd like to put in here. Okay, so you create a really compelling, complete profile for your company, for yourself. The next thing you want to do, you definitely want to manage your schedule, because the new digital RESI format is running for 24 hours a day. And I don't know about you, but you might not want to take meetings 24 hours a day in the middle of the night. So managing your availability will help avoid any meeting being booked at 3 a.m. in your time zone. So on the schedule, you can see the 3 days, November 17th, 18th, and 19th. At the top is the conference official time, which is Eastern Time, US. And in green, just below that, is your own time zone. I'm based in Europe, so I'm 6 hours ahead of Massachusetts, Boston in this case. So down below, I am able to check off the times when I would not like to take meetings. I can just say unavailable, and I know that I won't get any meetings booked at those times, late at night in my case. And then, just so you know, if you do get any meetings booked at a time that isn't convenient for you, you can always go back and reschedule the meeting by clicking on the meeting. You'll see a meeting box in blue. You just open the meeting and there's an option to reschedule. And when you do that, you'll be able to see the availability of the other person. So the first thing you want to do is you want to manage your availability for the 3 days or the 1 day of conferencing, whatever your case may be. And then you're ready to go. You're ready to start looking into the investors, strategic partners, service providers that you want to meet with. And you do that by clicking on search. And then you have these different groups where you're able to look for service providers, for nonprofits. Let's say, just for the sake of it, that you're looking for investors. So click on investors. And you can see that as of today, there are 167 investment firms registered for the conference. And, this is all of the investment firms. So this is useful, but you don't want to reach out to just any investor. You want to reach out to investors who are a fit for you, for your technology, your stage of development. So the way we can do that, and this is, I think, really unique to the RESI partnering platform, is that you're able to open, for example, what we call main sector. And here you can choose the type of technology you're developing. Just for an example, let's say a therapeutic. So that narrows it down now to 126 investment firms. But I would like to narrow it down even more than that. So let's say indication, oncology, as an example. Now we've narrowed it down a bit more to 113, but I want to see investors who will invest in my particular phase of development. And let's say that I am in preclinical phase. And so now that will narrow it down to 97 potential investors, investment firms, who I may or may not decide are a fit for me. And the way I decide that is by actually reading this paragraph that describes what these investors, the kind of their geographic exposure that they're interested in, type of technology, et cetera. So you get a brief summary, and then you're also able to see by clicking on this little arrow next to their name, which is really small, it's kind of hard to see, but that arrow will expand the selection, and you can see the different areas of interest that this particular investor has. So this first one, 3E, is extremely what we call opportunistic. They invest in a lot of different disease areas. They invest in preclinical stage, so that's a good fit for me. And if I decide after reading through 3E BioVentures that I want to have a meeting with them, that this would be potentially a good fit for me, I would click directly on book a meeting. Some people ask if it's better to book a meeting from the start or to send a message first. If you send a message first, you make the whole process more complicated, both for you and for the investor, because they won't be able to take a meeting with you if you send a message. They would have to respond to you and then say, yeah, I'd like to meet with you. Then you would have to send book a meeting, then they would have to accept it. If you directly click on book a meeting, it opens up a dialog box, and it automatically is requesting a meeting with this person. In this case, it's Lei. And you're able to add any of your colleagues who are also registered from your company at the event. You can include them in the meeting if you want. And in the message section, this is where we recommend that you take the time to write a really compelling message that will catch the investor's attention and hopefully encourage them to accept a meeting with you. So we're happy to share with you a document. It's kind of a template that we've set up. I hope you can see it. It's just some guidelines on the kind of information we think you should include in your outbound message. And we've seen that other companies have been successful using this type of message in the past. And we know that this works. This helps the investor get a better understanding of your company, what stage of development, what stage of fundraising, what market you're addressing, some of the key points that the investor may want to see to decide whether to take a meeting with you or not. So if any of you would like to have this template, just shoot me an email. You should have my email from the invitation to this webinar. Just shoot me an email and I'm happy to share that with you. So once you've written this message, click on yes. Are you sure you wish to request this meeting? This will go to the investor's partnering profile. It will also go to their email. They'll be able to see that they have a meeting request from you. And if the investor accepts the meeting, it will automatically schedule on your schedule in the earliest time that both parties are available. So there again, the importance of managing your availability, because it will book to 12:30 in the morning or 3 in the morning if you haven't blocked those times off. So once you have sent out a meeting request with any investor, so in this case it was Lei, you'll see a yellow bar here that says meeting requested. So when you scroll through again, you'll be able to see clearly which ones you requested a meeting with. If you read through a particular investor and decide that this investor is not a fit for you, I recommend that you click on bookmark and put something like not a fit and save it. And this will really help you when you go back through in the future. You won't have to read every investor. Remember, we're talking about hundreds of investors here. So it's hard to keep track of them all. And just by making notes to yourself like this will save you time. So let's say you scroll through and out of those 97 potential investors, you decide that 80 of them are a fit for you and you want to request a meeting. I recommend that you always request a meeting with all of the parties from that investment firm that are attending. So from AbbVie, we have 2 people attending. Send a meeting request to both. Okay, it's hard to know which one might be covering your particular sector or stage of development. You don't know that, so when in doubt, reach out to as many people as possible. Okay, so once you have sent out all of your initial meeting requests, as I mentioned earlier, it's highly recommendable that you log back on every day, try to log back on every day, and see what the situation is. Do you have any messages pending answering? Do you have any meetings that have been accepted and that have been booked to your calendar? You can keep track of that. And you will have inevitably many investor outreach messages that, when you book meetings, you won't always get a response, especially, not immediately. So as you scroll through, you'll see the ones that have that yellow bar that say meeting requested. If you haven't heard back, if you haven't heard anything from this particular investor after 3 or 4 days, then I recommend that you click on send a message. And here it opens up a dialog box again, and put something like second request, and write a new message, not exactly the one that you sent when you requested a meeting, but send something that might highlight your technology in this first reminder, this first follow-up message that you send. So send a little bit of additional information, something really interesting or compelling that you hope will catch their attention. And then if you still haven't heard back after 3 or 4 days after that, send a third request and highlight something about your management team, about yourself, about your own experience, about somebody on your advisory board who happens to be a superstar serial entrepreneur or something. Whatever you think might be compelling, put something different and interesting in there. It's a lot of work, but I've really seen that companies that do this, that are persistent and organized about following up with the investors that they haven't heard back from, will get better results. You'll get more meetings with investors. And don't worry about being bothersome, because this is why you're attending RESI. You want to meet with these investors. So be persistent, be organized, and this will make a difference. And eventually, some investors will get back to you that thanks anyway, but we're not interested. It's not a fit for us, whatever. That's fine. They'll decline the meeting, and when you scroll through again, you'll clearly be able to see this particular investor has declined the meeting. It'll say meeting declined by Marika Kode. And then you'll know not to bother that person again. So it's really easy to use and to keep track of. Just be persistent and log in frequently. Okay. Now, just briefly, I want to show you that you'll see another option here called Premier Mandates. If you register for Premier Partnering, you will have access to this. And the difference is, so say you're interested in this first investor, 3E BioVentures, and you want to know a little bit more. So if you have Premier Partnering, you click there. It opens a separate tab, and you're able to read more detailed information from the LSN investor database about this investor. And here you'll get much more detailed information about the sectors and subsectors of interest. More specifically, what type of technology are they looking for, and where do they invest? Information like that. Also, some management team requirements. And at the bottom, and this is really, one of the biggest value adds of the Premier Partnering, you get all of the investors' email contact information. So obviously, we're talking about hundreds of investors here. You won't be able to meet with them all over the 3 days that RESI lasts. There will be many investors that you hope to connect with that you weren't able to meet with. This is a really good way to have access to that information and to be able to reach out by email. The email addresses are included for all of the investors, and you can upgrade at any time. If when you're busy in your partnering and you see which investors you really want to meet with and you're not able to, you may decide during the conference, I think I'm going to upgrade to Premier so I can have access to all the contact information for these investors. So if you decide to do that, just let us know. It's $500 US to upgrade to Premier Partnering. So that's available to everyone. Okay, that is, in a nutshell, the important information about how to use the partnering platform. I will just say that if you check out sessions, you'll be able to see what live events are going on for each of the days, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. And it could be that we add a session or one of the Innovators Pitch Challenge sessions outside of these 3 days, and it will also be added here. But these are live streamed events that you are welcome to attend. You can add them to your calendar by clicking there and say, join this appointment, and it will book to your calendar. And these early stage therapeutics investors or any of the panels that are going on are really worthwhile. You'll see top-notch investors who will be talking about what things are of interest to them, tips and tricks about how to be successful in connecting with investors, what areas of technologies they're most interested in, what's hot, what's not. It's a really great opportunity to see these top investors talk about their business and how they go about sourcing technologies, and you're able to ask live Q&A to these investors. So definitely worthwhile. You'll also see the Innovators Pitch Challenge sessions. You're welcome to join those as well. Some of you may be participating as pitching companies. Some of these sessions will be, the Q&A will be live during the conference, and when as those get scheduled, they'll be added here to the sessions tab. Okay. So does anyone have any questions about the partnering? I don't see any questions in the chat box. In case you don't have it, I can give you my email. So as I mentioned, this is really, yeah, hello.
Hi, just a question on the stages of companies for medical devices. So I see clinical development and on market. So like just a bit confused. So we are in preclinical. So should I put development there, or what exactly do the spaces mean?
That is a really good point, Viraj. As you will see here, let's go back real quick. So when we go to search, and if you select medical technology, this will include medical devices. Here you would want to, you won't use the stage of development, I'm sorry. You won't use the biotech stage of development. You'll phase of development here. You'll go to the medtech stage of development. So for medtech, diagnostics, and digital health, although this isn't really as relevant in digital health, we have these 3 phases of development. It's either clinical, in development, or on the market. Okay, and if you are developing a drug, if it's classical biotech company developing a therapeutic, then you would use these biotech phases of development. So we have, the clinical phases, and we have preclinical and on the market, et cetera, NDA. So it's different phases of development. So if we wanted to look, how many investors are looking for medtech in, say, clinical stage of development, so that would be a medical device, would be 107 potential investors. And you'll see some of them are the same and some are different, because some investors invest cross-silo and others are specific to one particular type of technology.
Okay, and so the second question I had was the innovator challenge. Should we take out some time slots in the 3 days for that? So, like we say that we're not available for the time slots in which that happens, or would that happen after the conference? I'm not exactly clear.
The Innovators Pitch Challenge sessions will take place most likely during the conference, but they're not scheduled yet because we're still doing the approval process for applicants, and depending a little bit on where they happen to be located, we'll try to find a convenient time for everyone, which is challenging these days with such a global conference that we have going on. But Biraj, you're in Australia. There are players in Asia, on the west coast of the U.S., the east coast of the U.S., Europe. It really is challenging sometimes to find a time for these sessions that is convenient for everybody. But we will try, and hopefully next week, by the end of next week, we should have all of the sessions scheduled, and we will be in touch with all of the pitching companies about that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just so you know, in case anyone's interested, the pitching sessions will be live. There will be live Q&A with a panel of investors. The pitching companies will be able to follow up afterwards with those investors. So it's a good chance to meet 5 different investors in your field. So in your case, Viraj, it would be medical device investors. But also the actual recorded pitch, 4-minute recorded pitch, will be uploaded to each company's dedicated landing page. So all of the companies that are participating in the pitch session will be visible on the conference live agenda. There will be a link to their from their logo to a dedicated landing page, and on that landing page, each company can have the 4-minute recorded pitch. They can have a deck, an executive summary, a brochure, a publication, another video, whatever they want. So we're very happy to house the information that companies want to be visible, so that investors can see them, strategic partners can see them, etc. So that's the way that works. And there still is time to apply to the Innovators Pitch Challenge. You can find information on resiconference.com. The application deadline is tomorrow, October 30th. So if you're interested, take a look. If you have trouble meeting that deadline, let us know, and we can try to make an arrangement for you. The application is not lengthy at all, so feel free to apply. There's no cost to apply, and if you are approved, if there's a slot for your technology still available, and we confirm that, then you can decide whether you want to participate or not. But if you're at all interested, I encourage you to apply before tomorrow, so you can have that option. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to be on the webinar today. And as I mentioned, I shared my email contact. If you would like the template about your investor outreach message, I'm happy to send that to you.